There are more than a few people that believe in an inner Earth. In other words, an advanced civilization that lives underneath the world that we live in today. Some people believe that that's inhabited by aliens. Some people believe that that's inhabited by past versions or even future versions of ourselves. But we're not going to look at that today. Today, we're going to look at the person who actually found it. His name was Admiral Richard Byrd. And Admiral Byrd is no kook. He's no conspiracy theorist or anything like that. He was a decorated war hero that served his country with distinction. And what's amazing is not only did he discover this secret entrance to the inner Earth, or this advanced civilization that exists underneath our own civilization, but he left a secret diary detailing all of the awesome things that he had found. We're going to read it today. Welcome to the Lore Chronicles. So I'm going to provide my insight at the end if you're interested in that. If not, if you just want to see and hear what was written in the diary, we're going to start that in just a moment. I've added a few words to make it more intelligible, but nothing to change the context of what was actually said. So it starts off with a flight log of an operation that was going on called Operation Highjump. This was a secretive trip to Antarctica, and that actually happened. But we have the flight log, and then we have some entries from his personal diary that was supposedly found by his son, Richard Byrd, Jr. So without further ado, we're going to get right into it, and I'll see you on the other side of the flight log. Let's get started. February 19th, 1947. 0600 hours, all preparations are complete for flight north, and we are airborne with full fuel tanks at 0610 hours. 0620 hours, fuel mixture on starboard engine seems too rich. Adjustment weighted and Pratt & Whitney's running smoothly. 0730 hours, radio check with base camp, all is well, and radio reception is normal. 0740 hours, note slight oil leak on starboard engine, oil pressure indicator seems normal. 800 hours, slight turbulence noted from easterly direction at altitude 2100, correction to 1700 feet, no further turbulence, but tailwind increases, slight adjustment in throttle controls, aircraft performing very well now. 0815 hours, radio check with base camp, situation normal. 0830 hours, turbulence encountered again, increased altitude of 2900 feet, smooth flight conditions. 0910 hours, vast ice and snow below, note coloration of yellowish nature and disperse in a linear pattern altering course for a better examination of this color pattern. Note reddish or purple color, also circle this area 2 full turns and return to assigned compass heading. Position check made again to base camp and relay information concerning coloration of the ice and snow below. 0910 hours. Both magnetic and gyro compass beginning to gyrate and wobble. We are unable to hold our heading by instrumentation. Take bearing with the sun compass, it all seems well. The controls are seemingly slow to respond and have sluggish quality, but there is no indication of icing. 0915 hours. In the distance is what appears to be mountains. 0949 hours. 29 minutes elapsed flight time from the first sighting of the mountains. It is no illusion. There are mountains consisting of a small range that I've never seen before. 0955 hours. Altitude change at 2950 feet, encountering strong turbulence again. We are crossing over a small mountain range and still proceeding northward as best as can be ascertained. Beyond the mountain range is what appears to be a valley with a small river or stream running through the center portion. There could be no green valley below. Something is definitely wrong and abnormal here. We should be over ice and snow. To the port side are great forests growing on mountain slopes. Our navigation instruments are still spinning altitude to 1400 feet and execute a sharp left turn to better examine the valley below. It is green with either moss or type of tight-knit grass. That light here seems different. I cannot see the sun anymore. We make another left turn and we spot what seems to be large animals of some kind below. It appears to be an elephant. No, it looks more like a mammoth. This is incredible, yet there it is. Decrease altitude to 1,000 feet and take binoculars to better examine the animal. It is confirmed. It is definitely a mammoth-like animal. Report this to base camp. 10:30 hours. Encountering more rolling green hills now. The external temperature indicator reads 74 degrees Fahrenheit. Continuing on. Our heading now navigation instruments seem normal. Now I'm puzzled over the actions. Attempt to contact base camp radio is not functioning. 11:30 hours, countryside below is more level than normal, if I may use that word. Ahead we spot what seems to be a city. This is impossible. Aircraft seems light and oddly buoyant. The controls refuse to respond. My God, off our port and starboard wings are strange type of aircraft. They are closing rapidly. Alongside, they are disc-shaped and have a radiant quality to them. They are close enough now to see the markings on them. It is a type of swastika. This is fantastic. Where are we? What is happening? I tug at the controls again. They will not respond. We are caught in an invisible vice grip of some type. The radio crackles and voices come through in English, for what it perhaps is a slight Nordic or Germanic accent. The message is, "Welcome, Admiral, to our domain. We shall land you in exactly 7 minutes. Relax, Admiral. You're in good hands." I note the engines of our plane have stopped running. The aircraft is under some strange control and is now turning itself, and the controllers are useless. 11:40 hours. Another radio message received. We begin the landing progress now, and in moments the plane shudders slightly and begins to descend as though caught in some great unseen elevator. The downward motion is negligible, and we touch down with only a slight jolt. 11:45 hours. I'm making a hasty last entry in the flight log. Several men are approaching on foot toward our aircraft. They are tall with blonde hair. In the distance is a large shimmering city pulsating with rainbow hues of color. I do not know what is going to happen now, but I see no signs of weapons and those approaching. I hear now a voice ordering me by name to open the cargo door. I comply and log. From this point on, I write all the following events here from memory. It defies the imagination and would seem all but madness if it had not happened. The radio man and I are taken from the aircraft, and we are received in a most cordial manner. We then board it on small platform-like conveyance with no wheels. It moves us towards the glowing of the city with great swiftness. As we approach the city, it seems to be made of crystal material. Soon we arrive at the large building that is a type I've never seen before. It appears to be right out of the design board of Frank Lloyd Wright, or perhaps more correctly, out of a Buck Rogers setting. We were given some type of warm beverage which tasted like nothing I've ever savored before. It is delicious. After about 10 minutes, 2 of our wondrous appearing hosts come to our quarters and announce that I'm to accompany them. I have no choice but to comply. I leave my radio man behind, and we walk a short distance and enter what seems to be an elevator. We descend downward for some moments. The machine stops and the door lifts slightly upward. We proceed down a long hallway that is lit by rose-colored light and seems to be emanating from the walls themselves. One of the beings motions us to stop before a great door. Over the door is an inscription that I cannot read. The great door slides noiselessly open, and I'm beckoned to enter. One of my hosts speaks. "Have no fear, Admiral. You are to have an audience with the Master. I bid you welcome to our domain, Admiral." I see a man with delicate features and with the etching of years upon his face. He is seated at a long table. He motions me to sit down in one of the chairs. After I'm seated, he places his fingertips together and smiles. He speaks softly again and conveys the following. "We have let you enter here because you are a noble character and well known in the surface world." I half grasp under my breath. Yes, the Master replies with a smile. "You are the domain of the Ariani, the inner world of the earth. We shall not long delay your mission, and you will be safely escorted back to the surface. But now, Admiral, I shall tell you why you have been summoned here. Our interest rightly begins just after your race exploded the first atomic bombs over Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan. It was at that alarming time we sent our flying machines, the Flugel rods, to your surface world to investigate what your race has done. That is, of course, past history. Now, my dear Admiral, but I must continue on. You see, we have never interfered before in your race's wars and barbarity, but now we must. For you have learned to tamper with a certain power that is not for man, namely that of atomic energy. Our emissaries have already delivered messages to the powers of your world, and yet they do not heed. Now you have been chosen to be witness here that our world does exist. You see, our culture and science is many thousands of years beyond your race, Admiral." I interrupted, "But what does this have to do with me?" The Master's eyes seemed to penetrate deeply into my mind, and after studying a few moments, he replied, "Your race has now reached the point of no return, for there are those among you who would destroy your very world rather than relinquish power as they know it." I nodded, and the Master continued, "In 1945 and afterward, we tried to contact your race, but our efforts were met with hostility. Our flugel rods were fired upon, yes, even pursued with malice and animosity by your fighter planes. So now I say to you, my son, there is a great storm gathering in your world, a black fury that will not spend itself. For many years there will be no answers in your armies. There will be no safety in your science. It may rage on until every flower of your culture is trampled and all human things are leveled in vast chaos. Your recent war was only a prelude to what is yet to come. For your race, we see here it more clearly with each day, with each hour. Do you say I'm mistaken? Then he gestured with a lovely slender hand, a motion of peace, and our meeting was truly ended. Quickly we walked back through the great door of the master's chamber and once again entered into the elevator. The door slid silently downward and we were once again upward. One of my hosts spoke again. We must now make haste, Admiral, as the master desires to delay you no longer. And you must return with this message to your race. I said nothing. All of this was almost beyond belief, and once again my thoughts were interrupted. As we stopped, I entered the room and was once again with my radio man. He had an anxious expression on his face as I approached. I said, "It's all right, Howie. It's all right." The two beings motioned us toward the awaiting conveyance. We boarded and soon arrived back at the aircraft. The engines were idling and we were boarded immediately. The whole atmosphere seemed charged now with a certain air of urgency. After the cargo door was closed, the aircraft was immediately lifted by the unseen force until we reached an altitude of 2,700 feet. Two of the aircraft were alongside for some distance, guiding us on our return. I must say here the airspeed indicator registered no reading, yet we were moving along at a very rapid rate. A radio message comes through. "We are leaving you now, Admiral. Your controls are free." We watched for a moment as the flugel rods disappeared into the pale blue sky. The aircraft suddenly felt as though caught in a sharp downdraft. For a moment we quickly recovered her control. We did not speak for some time. Each man has his thoughts. Entry and flight log continues to 20 hours. We are again over a vast area of ice and snow in approximately 20 minutes from base camp. We radio them. They respond. We report all conditions normal. Base camp expresses relief at our reestablished contact. We land smoothly at base camp. I have a mission in log entries March 11th, 1947. I've just attended a staff meeting at the Pentagon. I've stated fully my discovery and the message from the master. All is duly recorded. The president has been advised. I'm now detained for several hours. 6 hours, 39 minutes to be exact. I'm interviewed intently by top security forces and a medical team. It was an ordeal. I'm placed under strict control via the national security provisions to the United States of America. I'm ordered to remain silent in regards to all that I've learned on the behalf of humanity. Incredible. I'm reminded that I'm a military man and must obey orders. December 30th, 1956. These last few years elapsed since 1947 have not been kind. I now make my final entry in the singular diary. In closing, I must state that I have faithfully kept this matter secret as directed all these years. It has been completely against my values and morals. Right now I seem to sense the long night coming on, and the secret will not die with me. But as all truth shall, it will triumph, and so it shall. This can be the only hope for mankind. I've seen the truth, and it has quickened my spirit, and has set me free. I've done my duty towards the monstrous military-industrial complex. Now the long night begins to approach. But there shall be no end, just as the long night of the Arctic ends. The brilliant sunshine of truth shall come again, and those who are of darkness shall fall in the light. For I have seen the land beyond the pole, that center of the great unknown. Admiral Richard Byrd, United States Navy, December 1956. What a fantastical tale. I'm not going to add much to this because it's already a great story as it is. I would like to believe that it's true. It's a wonderful story about a great civilization that lives underneath our planet. And what a cool concept. The fact that there might be a group of people that know more than we do and can help our society grow and establish and become better than what it already is. That's a great thought. But is it real? I don't know. There's obviously been no proof that has been reported of an actual civilization that exists, but this is the part that gives me caution and concern. There is a story, and I'll get into a video later on about all the different stories out there that exist about an inner Earth civilization. Some call it Agartha, some call it other things, like Shambhala and stuff like that. And you have lots of religions that are around that as well. Some people believe that the civilization that was in Atlantis, and now we're Lemuria, actually exists within this inner Earth. And all of that just sounds like interesting stories to me. But the one thing that puzzles me is the fact that Antarctica is very, very heavily guarded. They don't just allow you to make flights across Antarctica. There's a lot of claim from different countries on different sections of Antarctica. And yes, there are certain base camps that exist within Antarctica, but they're not very far in. There are tiny portions of the whole piece of land. Most of it is not explorable. You're not allowed to do it. So that alone draws my interest. Anytime they say you can't, means to me like there's something probably there. I'm not saying that it's the entrance of inner Earth or anything like that. It might be, but there's got to be something there. That's just my thoughts. What are your thoughts? I'd love to hear them here in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching. If you like this material, make sure that you click on one of our other videos that YouTube is recommending to you right now, and we will see you on the next one.